Hey there, welcome back to Wargaming Luke. I am of course Luke, your host for all news around Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we have Black Order news dropping, all of the updates for the Black Order characters that a lot of you I know have been waiting for. I'm not a massive Black Order fan myself, but Ebony Maw, I know a lot of you have wanted that 5-threat character to get a good boost, and well, he's turned up guys. Sit down and shut up, because he's turned up now.
Let him have his fun.
But before we get into those new Black Order updates, guys, as always, welcome to the channel, and if you're a subscriber to the channel, beautiful, as always, and welcome to the subscribers, the best team on YouTube for Marvel Crisis Protocol content. And if you want that lovely welcome, guys, the next time you come to the video, make sure you're subscribed and you'll be part of the subscribers. But remember, subscribers, with great power comes great responsibility. Also, big shout out to our sponsors and my gaming store of choice, Board in Brum. They have a unique Marvel Crisis Protocol team event on December the 4th. Using Highlander rules, you and your buddies can form a team of 3 working together throughout a series of games, giving a different edge than your usual game days, where you will get to try a whole new way of playing and putting new tactics and roster building to the ultimate test. Pick up your tickets now for this awesome day by following the link in the comments and description below. We all look forward to seeing you there. Okay then, so with all that down, let's get on to today's article from Atomic Mass Games with the changes to Black Order. No changes to Thanos here. It's going to be the two lovers, the husband and wife, and of course Ebony, which will be the special last look here. But we'll just come down here, we'll skip this first bit. They're basically just talking about how Black Order are one of the beaters from the early days of Marvel, and they were intended to be like the first team that could really deliver KOs and knock out your opponent's models and get points through KOs, etc., rather than being able to control necessarily lots of objectives like other teams can, but also having control with the things like the gems and whatever with Thanos and whatever pushes, pulls, whatever throws, to be able to control still whatever objectives there are, to be able to reduce the number of points your opponent can get on objectives whilst you can get those KOs in. So definitely I agree with them that I can see what they mean there, that that's still what they wanted to achieve, but obviously what they're saying here is they didn't quite manage to properly achieve that with the blend, and after the games move forward they want to obviously make changes, which we've seen as well with Black Order. So with this in mind, they say here, it seems a perfect time to discuss the first two characters seeing changes, the husband and wife duo of Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight. Since the couple's release, there has been plenty of discussion about their unique husband and wife superpowers, especially with how it allows them to really excel at what the Black Order in general want to do: maintain priority and daze or KO a single target before it can react. Of course, even without his beloved wife at his side, Corvus has recently shown him that himself to be a fearsome boogeyman in Crisis Protocol, and a character whose name most often appears in discussions about how to deal with him. While there will always be characters that sit on the high end of their threat value, and the pack of characters in general, after carefully watching these characters since their release, it was clear that their play pattern was a little too automatic. So for you guys that don't know, the husband and wife, Corvus and Proxima, you used to be able to just kind of activate one, then activate the next one straight after, which we'll go through in a moment. So the first things first, you'll see that husband of Proxima Midnight and wife of Corvus Glaive, which are their superpowers, now have a new power cost of 1, so it used to be free. While this may not seem like much, it does mean that players will have to be more mindful of managing each character's power if they want to ensure that they can double activate. Additionally, we have reduced the range of the superpowers from 4 to 3, with Corvus and Proxima having attacks that provide quite the burst of mobility. The restricted range requires players to more carefully plan the character's activation and makes it much more difficult for the pair to benefit from the superpower and still reliably contest objectives in more spread out Crisis. While undoubtedly still a powerful piece of the character's kit, these changes allow several more opportunities for opponents to counterplay, whether by using abilities to reduce the pair's power, or using throws and pushes to make it harder for them to be in range to trigger the husband and wife abilities. So yeah, the difficult thing used to be they had to be within 4 of each other, which you never really had to keep an eye on as a Black Order player. You're never really going to keep them that far apart. You can pretty easily keep them within 4, but 3 range, keeping them within range of each other there to double activate them is much more tricky, and it is something that your opponent can counter. So this, for me, if you're playing both of them, of course, which a lot of the time you will, especially if you're playing Black Order, this is quite a heavy nerf, I think. But probably one that needed to happen because it was a bit too strong. Additionally, you'll see that we added an additional trigger requirement to Corvus Deathblow's Flurry. Depending on which order you've read these articles, this may not come as a surprise, or it will be the first in a trend to come as we look at future character adjustments. Given high strength of Corvus attacks, the requirements to achieve the perfect 4 attack turn was just a bit too low. This change again makes having the perfect Corvus turn just that much less predictable, and therefore rewards players for having contingency plans should they miss one of the triggers. So guys, if we take a look here actually at the character card for Corvus, for example, what they were on about there is the Death Blow, which costs you 4 power. It used to just be on a wild, I believe, but now it's a wild and a shield for the Flurry. So to get an extra strike attack after the Death Blow, it's a bit harder to get that now than it was before. Makes sense, to be honest, because you're getting a medium advance as well. I think it was a bit much when you got both there. They've toned it down a little bit there. It's a bit harder to get it. To be honest, you should still probably be able to get the wild and the shield anyway, but there's that little less chance than before. So I think that makes sense with the nerf on Deathblow there. Then if we just look at the husband of Proxima Midnight, and of course if we look at Proxima's card, she has the opposite, which is wife of Corvus Glaive. You guys obviously can take a look at the cards there as well. At the end of this character's activation, if it is within 3 rather than the old 4 of an allied Proxima Midnight, this character may use this superpower. If the allied Proxima Midnight does not have an activated token, she may activate before your turn ends. There you go. And vice versa, Proxima Midnight has the exact same, but obviously to chain activate to Corvus, her husband. So there you go. So that's pretty much it, what they've been talking about there, guys. I think it's a very good balance. I think it will make Black Order players think a lot more, though, about what they've got to do. And the clever players that come up against Black Order will be able to find their weak spot here and throw Proxima away from her husband to be able to prevent that 3 range to chain activate them. So you might have to waste an action to move Proxima closer to her husband and keep them within that range to be able to chain activate if they want to do things, etc. So it's going to be an interesting one that I can see opposing players to Black Order right at on their last activation before the next turn. If they know that Black Order are going to get initiative, which they usually will with the low model count and high KO rates, they will be able to counter this by throwing one of them away from the other or pushing them away, to be able to then know that even though they have initiative in the next turn, it's going to be a lot harder for them to be able to chain activate 2 models straight off the bat with that initiative. So I completely understand what they're going for here. Makes sense with the nerf, although I will say, like I said before, it is quite a hard nerf for them, really. But it had to come, because especially Corvus, as we all know, very, very strong character. But what you're probably all wanting to know, Ebony Maw gets his update here. 5 threat character still, of course. Next up is the psychic powerhouse of the Black Order, Ebony Maw. While Corvus and Proxima have been terrorizing tables since their release, Ebony Maw unfortunately hasn't quite lived up to the hype of his initial preview. You can say that again. Similar to characters like Hulk and Gamora, Maw found himself absolutely destroying opponents during playtesting, requiring several adjustments to bring his powers in line with the rest of the pack. Unfortunately, as can be the case with characters developed and designed early on, his dominance was particularly contingent on the smaller pool of characters. Yeah, I think we all kind of gathered that. Limiting his opponent's ability to answer the questions he asked of them in the game, As such, he found himself left more and more behind, which was a shame, not only for a very cool character, but also because he was meant to offer a different play pattern for the Black Order, providing them with several control elements between his impressive Black Tongue's sinister influence and the throw on his Herald of Doom attack. There we go. That's his new card, guys. A lot of changes on there. We're going to go through them now, but if you want to screenshot that, take a look at it, etc, etc, do so. And his injured side there, of course. Okay. The first thing to note is that the strength of Black Tongue has gone from 5 to 6, so you're getting one more dice on it. One more die on it. Yep. Not only does this put its damage potential better in line for a modern day threat 5, definitely, it also significantly increases the chance of sinister influence triggering. While the increase to Maw's damage output is useful, where Maw really struggled was in his durability. Yeah, he just went down too quickly. Mind over matter, allowing him to use his 6 mystic defense against any attack type, was impressive, but ultimately led to a play pattern where Maw was forced into not using the rest of his cool kit so that he could bolster his rather weaker defenses. Yeah, power generation was his issue. So with this in mind, we made several adjustments to both make Maw more durable and more thematic to the disrupting force he embodies in the comics and on the tabletop. The first thing we did was boosted his energy defense from 2 to 4, reducing his primary weakness to only physical attacks. Next, we increased his stamina on his injured side from 4 to 6. Yeah, Ebony Maw having 4 on his injured side was laughable, but the fact that he now has 6 on his injured side, and of course over on his healthy side he has the 7, makes him a 5 threat much more worthy, and the fact that his energy defense is now 4 from 2 is massive. So he's only weak now on his physical. Makes sense, right? He's more of a magical character. A lot of the magical characters tend to be weak physically but have stronger energy and of course mystic defense. But I tell you what, he's got some of the strongest I think energy and mystic defenses for a 5 threat out there. So yeah, well, enough said on that. But going back to this here, so while pure stat bump certainly helped push his durability, we also wanted to fix Maw's play pattern problem of never being able to comfortably spend power on all his offensive kit. Mind over matter was completely overhauled to not only solve this problem but also add more of a thematic punch to Maw as a character. Instead of being a reactive and costing 2 power to use, Mind over matter now is innate, so you just automatically get it, which is insane. So Mind over matter is now innate and works exactly like Enchantress's enchanting innate superpower. This forces characters who rely on physical or energy attacks to have to spend 2 power or have more roll 6 defense dice against them. The second we put this on the table, we loved how it played perfectly into Maw's whole theme of disruption. In addition to the Mind over matter change, we also added a new superpower, telekinetic deflection. While this will cost more power defensively, it provides him with some critical counterplay to pretty much every mystic character's primary weakness. Having terrain thrown into them, having access to this power in the right situation really makes Maw feel like a true threat 5 who will not be easily removed without significant effort and resources. Wow, okay guys, let's dig into these things here then that they've changed. So as they've just said there, the Mind over matter is exactly now like Enchantress's power, where it's just innate though, right? So you used to just have to pay 2 power to react to it, and that used up a bit too much of his power, but now he's gaining 3 power in the power phase and he can use that on his other stuff, which makes way more sense. This is such a massive buff to him. So now your opponent has to pay 2 power when they're attacking Ebony Maw to make him not use his mystic defense, otherwise he just outright gets to use mystic defense, whether it's physical, energy, mystic attack. He gets to defend using his mystical unless your opponent spends 2 power. This is insane. Really, really is. Also, telekinetic deflection, new power that they've given him there. 2 power, you can spend that as a reaction if you suffer a collision with Ebony Maw and you just don't suffer damage outright. I mean, that's just absurd, really, isn't it? Really, really is. Very, very nice new reactive superpower to have for him. Makes complete sense that they can that they've done that for him. It's something else to just toughen him up, like they're saying, and make him less kind of likely to die straight away, like he used to. Just going back as well to Black Tongue, his builder attack, that's gone up to 6 dice. Like they said, that gives you more chance of pulling off the Wild to get Sinister Influence. So after the attack is resolved, you may advance the target character short. The one thing that Black Order have really been missing to be top tier as an affiliation in the competitive scene, or just in casual for you guys that are playing with them, they're missing enough control. But now that Ebony Maw is very, very takeable as a 5 threat with your Black Order, you can put him straight back in there, and they have now, with him in there again, much easier ways of getting their control back on the board. So like they said at the beginning of the article, guys, you've got Black Order were meant to be that team that KO'd your opponent's models, but also preventing them from kind of capturing objectives if they're like Sam Spam or something, right? So they've got a lot of models. Although they've got all that free movement, you also have a lot of control with your big models, where you're just kind of a gun turret in the middle of the table, putting out a ton of damage. You're hard to kill, but you're also able to just push and throw stuff wherever you kind of choose to, right? Makes a lot of sense. He's still able to use his telekinetic powerhouse as well for 3 power, where you can throw terrain. He's got a really nice kit now, 3 power builder each turn, which for a 5 threat is really good. I really do like to take 5 threats that have that power to build. Again, guys, I said it with the new Ghost Rider, and you guys know I'm a massive Ghost Rider fan. I thought Ghost Rider was going to be one of the new top tier 5 threats. I think Ebony Maw has edged his way in there, right? It's going to be interesting to see how these new two change their affiliations that they're part of. And I think Ebony Maw is obviously just a massive boost to Black Order in general. So I'm really interested to see when these card changes come out. Obviously, we're looking end of November, December, guys, for this end of the year. The holidays, I guess, for these changes to come. But really excited for this. You guys let me know what you think of the changes to Ebony Maw, and of course probably the nerfs really to Proxima and Corvus, the husband and wife, were they probably needed. Let me know in the comments, guys, what your thoughts. Are you excited to now throw Ebony Maw into your own affiliations? It might even make me excited to try out a bit of Black Order. That aesthetically, they don't fuss me really, but I will be excited to try them out. There is a little more at the bottom of this article, guys, about changes to 2 of the gems, the stones that they've made changes on. I'm going to do a separate video later in the week to discuss the changes to the stones that they're talking about there, because this video will already have been long enough talking about the changes to Black Order here and how it's going to affect them. Thanos, we don't know yet. They haven't confirmed here whether he's getting changes or not. They might well just leave him be. I think it'd be fine if they did, really. But Ebony definitely needed that buff, and I think everything they've done here is awesome, as most of the changes have been, really. So, guys, as always, thanks so much to everybody that watches to the end of this video, these videos that I do. It really does help a lot. It makes a massive difference to my videos being seen by people when you guys watch to the end of these things. So thanks so much. Throw a like on the video as always, guys, and leave those all important comments down below, and obviously make sure to subscribe. And to lead us out here, Ebony Maw is going to give us a quote. "You may think this is suffering. No, it is salvation. The universal scales tip toward balance because of your sacrifice. Smile, for even in death you have become children of Thanos." So what he's saying, guys, is join up with the Black Order, I think. I think that's what he's saying. But until next time, happy wargaming, guys. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Make sure to check out all of our socials. If you want some quick reads on everything Marvel Crisis Protocol, you can go check out our friends over at Web Warrior Protocols. But for all your wargaming and, of course, Marvel Crisis Protocol needs, go over to Board in Brum for fantastic discount prices. All of these things, links can be found in the description below this video. Happy wargaming.